This conference will now be recorded.
So in last class we saw this was not working right. Guys, is my screen sharing visible? So we were seeing there were two ways to import a module. Either I can use from main package import the file, or I can directly give the complete detail. So let me. Last time it was not working until unless we give full name. So let me show the difference. Okay. So the first way is we can use from and your package name, which is nothing but a directory name, and this is the file, the script, the Python file inside the directory. And then later what I'm doing, let me open that file. So inside the main package, we have main script. Let me open it. I'm just dragging and dropping it here. Okay. So inside main package. So why I'm giving just main package? I'm not giving way the main because the main package is already inside some folder, right? Main package is inside project Python, but I'm not giving any detail about C desktop or project Python. That is because both our executing file. This is our executing file from where we are calling, right? Executing file is inside project Python. So it has access to Project Python. So after that, whatever comes after Project Python, you have to give that folder. Okay. So this main package inside that file, inside this folder, we have this file, main script.py. This script name, this file name is main script, right? Main script.py. So main package and then the file and then import the main report. What I am importing, I'm importing this function directly, right? And then similarly inside this is a subfolder, and then again I have subscript. Subscript is a file, Python file. I'm not importing the function inside the Python, I'm just importing the file directly. Okay, there are two ways you can, otherwise you can, what you can do, you can cut this and put it here dot subscript and control V. You can cut this and then you can paste it here, and then here you can mention the function, whatever function is there inside that, you can mention it here. But it is not actually good to import the function because in this case we have only one function, so we are importing it. What if we have multiple functions inside that file and you want to make use of everything? So just import the file. But here I'm just wanted to show example. For example, if a file is there and you want to import only one function, you are very particular about that, then you can import it. Otherwise, you can directly import the Python script. Okay. So here this is folder, this is file, but here it is folder and subfolder. I mean inside there is one more folder, and then this is Python file. Okay. So the main report already our this Python code knows main report because it already imported main report. So I can directly call main report. It's not throwing me any error. And here it knows subscript. I'm directly using subscript and I'm telling which function under the subscript I have to call. And then this is nothing but a simple file inside my module. Sorry, this is a file, a direct Python file. It's not residing inside any, let me open that. It's not residing under any folder. So my module, here the my module where your my program is exists, the same place my module is also there. So here I'm directly importing a Python. It is not inside any folder. So I'm directly from this my module import the function. So since the function is already loaded, I can directly call the function. So this in this case, you need not mention the complete package again here in this place. I need not give from which package and which file this function is there. It would work fine. Let me run this. I'm in main script main package. This is from here it is printing, and hey, I am a function inside subscript. It is printed from here, and I'm in my module. Okay, it is printed from this file, this function. So other way is, let me comment this out. So the second way you can do this is by this. What you can do, instead of using from, you need not use from. You can use import main package and the folder subfolder file, but you cannot import a function. You cannot this main report is a function. By looking at this, I'll not know which is function, which is module. The person who is importing, they will have access to this. They know what is function and what is a file name. Only they can do that. So looking at this, I will not know. By just looking at this, I will not know. But since I have already seen here, I know this is main report is a function. I cannot give function name here. Again, here I'm trying to give function name, which we gave in the previous this statement, right? Like that, you cannot just give with the input. If you are using just import to give the complete path, you cannot give function. You just have to give only the path till only a Python file, it will work. So here you see the underline, some error it was showing, it gone. So you cannot give like this, you cannot give the function. So let me comment this out again. I have written in the other next block. So here what I'm doing, since I cannot give function, I haven't given the function because these were throwing me error. Some underline colored underline was curved line was showing. Here it's not showing because I have not given any function details here. I'm only importing the file from folder to file. But in this case, here I'm just giving the full name instead of main package, main script, and then main report. Why can't I just start from this? Let me try that. Let me remove this. I'm just giving, since this program already knows what is main script and where it is residing, right? I'm just giving that, and then I'm giving main report. It is not working. It is throwing me an error, right? The underline, that is why you see underline, and it is telling me what to do, a quick fix. The quick fix, what it is suggesting is give the complete name. So this is the difference between import and using from and import. Whenever you give import, uh, the file is not already imported. It is whenever you are using this statement, only then it is imported, but you have to give whatever you have given in the input, you have to directly give that and then give your function name. But in the case of from and then import, you can directly call whatever you have given in the input. Here you're giving completely whatever you have given in the input. And again here you have imported subscript, but still you are giving subscript. You cannot directly give sub report, it will fail. So whatever you have given in the input directly you have to copy paste it, then you can call a function. So here main report is directly imported. This is nothing but a function. Since it is directly imported, you can directly use. So whatever you give in input, you have to copy paste it. Since you have only one function name, one file name here, again one function name here, you can directly give it here. Here in this import, you have given in this way. So directly you have to copy paste this. Then you have to give the following file name or the function name. So it is always convenient to use from and import together because you will be calling the function in multiple places, right, throughout your program. You need not copy and paste everything, the whole path. So this is also a way to import. I just wanted to tell you that you can import this way as well, because if somebody have imported like this, you shouldn't feel that where I mean they have missed the from. You can do this, but the consequence is the drawback is you have to give the complete path. So you can do this way also, you can do this way. So that is why my program actually I what I did, I used this import, but I tried this calling in the calling function. I tried this way. That way it was not working that day. And one more thing is, yeah, here we see the statement, right? Underscore name equal to underscore main. So let's see what is this variable is. So when you run a Python, before coming to Python, in other languages, Java, you have to define one main function, which means you have to give a public static void main. Main should be there inside every Java code. So if we are telling a program, see, this is a main function, and from here you start executing the you start the flow from here. Maybe the main is, if the main is in 23rd line, the execution will start from 24th, whatever block is there inside that main, no, from there only the execution will start. And even in C++, the same way, but they import main in a different way. The syntax will be different to use a main, declare a main. But in Python, what happens? There is no concept called main. What happens? It will, whatever, here you have indentation, right? This is first level, then you give one space, this is second level indentation, and again you give one more space, this is third level, right? And we have seen in Tawny also, whenever we run something in Tawny, first it reads this, it will not go inside and execute. It will go to line number 6. It will read this, then later it will go to line number 6. That is because in Python there is no concept called main. From where we have to start, we cannot control it. The Python what it does, it reads all indentation level 0. All the indentation level 0 get executed. Then later, if this function is called in from indentation level 0, it will then go inside it. Otherwise, what it does, if the function is not at all called, what it does, it reads all the indentation level 0, then it will go to indentation level 1, something like that. Okay. So unlike other language, there is no main function that gets run automatically. In Python, the main function is implicitly telling that all the code at top level, I mean level 0 of indentation, you have to execute. That's what we are telling Python implicitly. Okay. But we have this variable called hyphen I underscore underscore name underscore underscore. Is a built-in variable which evaluates the name of the current module. Current module in the sense current file, which file we are running from. So here the current module is my program. Here the current module is main script. Okay. Similarly, here the current module is 2.2. 2 is the current module because that is my file name. Module is nothing but a file, right? Package is a folder, module is a file. So this variable evaluate the name of the current module. Okay. So if the module is if you are running this file directly, you're not importing anything. Like here, you are running this file directly, right? Exception, this file you are running directly, which means your module, the name, where is that too? Yeah. So here the name in background, this name will be there inside Python memory. This name it automatically sets main. Okay. Whenever you are running something directly, the name variable will have the value called main. Okay. But if you are running something else, if you are calling some other file, in this case, we are calling one, right? One is a different file. We are importing it, and then we are calling the function inside one. In this case, the name variable will have the module name one. Okay, when you run directly the same file, the name variable will have main. If you're calling, because it is telling this is a this from the current program, current file only you are running everything. You're not importing any file. You're not calling this function from some other file. It all the functions are there in the current file. That is why here it is main. So that is why I'm telling if name is equal to main, run this. If it is not main, go to this else. Okay. So here 1.py. Okay. So what I have done here to show this example, we can test this name, whether your script is being run directly. Main purpose why we use name is just to tell that, just to identify whether the script is being run directly or imported by something else. And here I have a function which is having a print command, and then a normal print command. This will print even if you don't go inside this function. And I'm telling if name is equal to main. In this case, name will be main. Because I'm directly running the Python one, the name will be main, and then it will be printing this. But if I run from this, the name this for example, if I'm calling one, okay, if I'm directly running everything inside one, in that case name will not be main, because in that case you're not running directly from one, you're calling one from two. Okay, and then I'll print this. Okay, and let me do one thing. Let me run this. So here, this function is never called. We are not calling this function anywhere inside this file, but we have this print top level that is getting printed. And then name is main because we are directly running this file from this file only. So here this line 1 py is being run directly is printed, and I'm assigning this name variable. I said no, whenever we run some file in the background in the memory, we will have this variable which will have the name of the file. If it is directly run, then the name will be main only. So I'm saving this variable, this value of this name into variable. What the variable is having underscore underscore main. Okay, so this is what it is having. Let me do one thing. I'll give tab and I'll save this. But now what I'm going to do, I am going to call this one from two. Okay. Okay. So what happened after importing? It is directly going to function one, and then it is printing this top level print inside 1.py, and 1.py is, so this is that run directly. This line number 5 is not printed. Is it clear, guys, or should I copy and put it somewhere else? So the first line output is top level print inside 1.py. This is printed. Top level print inside 1.py. The function is not called initially. Line number 3 is printed. Then it is going to evaluate if name is equal to main. No, because this file is not directly run. It is called by some other file. This file was executed by two. It is not directly executed by clicking on the run button. Okay, so 1.py is being run directly, will not be printed. It will go to line number 7. 1.p is imported into another module. So that is what you see here. Then what happens? The variable name is whatever there inside the name is saved into variable, and then it is getting printed here. It is going to tell we are inside one module. So now when you're calling this file directly, the name variable will have main. If you're calling this file from somewhere else, then the file name, the module name, one will be stored. So that is why you see we are inside one module. Before we saw what we saw earlier, I couldn't see this. Earlier we saw we are inside underscore underscore main module. Now we are seeing we are inside one module whenever you call from two. Then later, then what happens? Top level into then only this is printed. So first the import is done. When you import, you are running directly everything. Then this line number two is printed. Top level in 2.py. So in the output line number four, and then you're calling one dot function. So it is printing whatever is there inside this function. It is printed in line number five. Then it is checking whether name is equal to main. Yeah, because we have directly run the file from here. Name is equal to main. So it is printing is run directly. 2.py is being run directly. So usually how do we run Python file is we give the syntax Python space 2.py. When you give this, why it's not running? Okay, because it is this path is user Annapurani. Okay, maybe I'll change the path. See, okay, we are inside desktop. Project Python. Okay, now I'll give this is a command to run your code 2.py Python space the file name, okay, including the extension. So the output is printed. So what happens instead of writing this command, I'm directly using this button. But this button, what it does in background, it will run this command only. It will be running for you. It will be running this command on behalf of you. So whenever you're calling this file name directly, then the name is equal to main. When you're not calling 1.py directly here, but it is somehow called from 2.py. In that case, inside this program, the name will be equal to not main, it will be one, the file name, module name. Is it clear or is it confusing in any part? Is it clear, guys? You understood what this variable is doing? Or you want me to explain slowly again? Okay. So I'll explain this again. Did you understand that other programming languages having main concept and Python is not having main? That part you understood? In Java, we will have something called like this. If you open any Java file, it will have like this. Okay. And your logic will be residing inside this main. So from here only the control starts. You will be calling a function here. Maybe the function might be defined outside, but when you call a function, it should be from here. Because whenever you run the Java file, it will first go and see where it finds this main function. Inside the main function, whatever is there, it will execute. Outside the main function will not be executed directly, but if it is called from inside, then yeah, it will be executed. But we don't have that concept in Python. Everything will be ran directly. But in the background, though it is ran directly, you will have a variable called hyphen hyphen name in the memory. Okay. Yeah, it is always should be hyphen hyphen underscore underscore name underscore underscore. That's how they have defined this variable, because it is an inbuilt variable, like how print open and close bracket, how if else, all those things they have defined. In the similar way, they have defined this underscore underscore name. Because what if you are using this name as a variable? Someday you might be defining name variable, and you might assign some value, right? So that is why they have defined, because nobody will define like this. The variable will not be overwritten by you, because it is there inside memory, right? So that is why they have given this way. So it is an inbuilt variable which will be always created. Like how you create your own variable in the file. When you run some file in the memory, it will be indirectly created, this name variable. Okay. This name variable will have some value. It can have either main or the file name. It can have two value. One is underscore underscore main underscore underscore. Either this value it can have, otherwise it will have the file name. We will see in which situation it will have main and which situation it will have the file name. Okay. Whenever you run this file directly means what? You are typing this Python space to 2.py. I am calling this file, right? I am telling this is a Python file, execute this file. Python space 2.py. So here I am running this file directly. I am giving them name and I am running. Okay. But I'm not running 1.py in similar way. Now I'm not running 1.py. I'm not giving Python space 1.py. But what I'm doing indirectly, I'm importing one, I'm calling one, and again I'm calling function inside one. So here one is called it is called indirectly, not directly, right? 2.py is called directly, but 1.py is called indirectly. This part you understood, Sam? This part you understood? What I'm telling running directly, and which one I'm telling running indirectly. Okay. So when So the name variable will be there for both the module. Each module will have one variable called name associated with it. 2.py also will have name variable. 1.py also will have name variable. So in this case, since you're directly passing 2.py, the name variable of 2.py will have this value main, because you're directly calling. And the name variable for 1.py will not have main, because you're not directly calling, but it will have the module name. In this case, if you are indirectly calling, the variable name will hold the module name. It will hold value 1, because that is a file name. It will not hold the extension and all .py. It will hold 1. Okay. So here, this line, we are inside one module, right? This line where it is getting printed. First, when you give import one, it goes to one only. It will go to 1.py, and it will start executing 1.py, one line after another. Okay. So whenever I run, the line number one is executed. It is now going to 1.py. This is okay. It is reading function, but it will not print this unless you call this function. And it is going to line number two, line number three, it is printing that top level print inside 1.py. Okay. And then this name variable is main. No, name variable of this file is holding 1. It is holding a value called 1, because it is not directly run. So if this condition is failed, it is going to else. Okay. So it is not printing this line number 5. Here it is printing 1.py is being imported into another module, because I have given in the print line And then we are now saving the name into the value inside name. Some value will be there, right? That I'm saving into variable, my own variable, and then I'm printing that variable. So here you see we are inside one module. It is not telling main module, it is telling one module. If in case I'm directly running this 1.py, I'm not calling it from 2.py. So in this case, I'll move the indentation. That is because here it will be main, right? Name equal to main. It will be main, and this will be true. It will not go inside else part. Since this was moved and kept inside else part, it will not be printed. And now I know directly I'm running, so this condition will be evaluated to true. That's why I'm moving the indentation, saving. Okay, I'll run now. So here you see this line number 3 is printed and line number 5 is printed because name is equal to main, because you are running the program directly. On.py is running directly, okay, and then variable is saved. Now you see we are inside main module. We are just telling we are inside the current module and the current module is directly executed. When you are inside the current module and you are executing it directly, it will save main inside it. The variable will have main. But if you're calling from some other program, you're calling one from two or any other file, in that case you're not calling this file directly. In that case, it will store one. So that is why when we are calling it from another program, we are saying we are inside one module. Is it clear now? So maybe you are confused with this underscore underscore. This is how they have defined the variable. The variable name is this, and whenever you run, the value also looks like this underscore underscore only. Rajita, is it clear for you? Okay. Tilly? Sam, is it clear for you? If it's not clear, I'll do one thing. At the end of the class, I can explain again only to you. Is a main variable for one the same for the main variable? They are different. Okay, let me open quick note. You have two files, 2.py and then 1.py. Whenever this file is loaded into memory, in the background will be created, and also whenever this is loaded into the memory, in the background name will be created. Okay, so each will have different variable. It will know this variable is for one and this variable is for two. Okay, two name variable is defined. Maybe it will have some other way to know which name is for which file. Okay, two will be defined. If you are calling this 1.py directly, what is directly means, you are giving this python space 1.py. But in our exercises, I'm not running this command because I have a shortcut, this run Python file. But whenever I click this, this is what happening in the background. It is running using this command. So this is a command to execute your Python file. It is giving Python space a file name. If you are calling the file directly, this name variable will assign a value. Okay. And whenever you're calling this, it will assign a value like this. But in our case, we are loading one from two, right? So anyway, both are called because this is called directly and this is called indirectly. So both the file will be there inside the memory. Both the file will be loaded, right? So both the file will have this variable. So since this is called directly, that is I'm running a file. I'm giving Python space 2.py, p.2.py. So in this case, it will assign main, and here it will assign one because this is not called directly, but it is called from some other file, so it will say the file name here. what if I just call 2.py and I'm not directly calling 1.py? Only this will be loaded into the memory and this will have underscore underscore main only. Is it clear now? Still, if it's confusing, I can explain you in another way. Maybe we can do it at the end. Okay, Sam? Shall I proceed, Sam? Okay, thank you. So the next thing what we are going to see is rise. Yesterday we saw in exception, handling the exception, we saw try block and we are going to keep the logic inside try and we have except, that is exception block, which is going to handle the exception uh, and give you a new print line. That means it is going, if this value error is not handled, what will happen? The program will abruptly end. But if you tell except, then it is going to handle this exception. When you give except and then the exception name, it is going to handle this, and but it will inform the user that there is an exception using some print line, whatever you are defining. The value entered, the entered value is not number. So it is telling this, and then you're calling the function. So you saw try and except, you can have multiple except, and because if you expect multiple exception to occur in your program, you can have multiple except, and then also you can have finally. So finally will be executed after everything is executed. This will be executed by default at the end. So for both the, we are calling the function twice AB with one input and the other input. So this will be run twice, right? Let me run. So this is always executed. See, after the first one output is printed, this line is executed. Again, for the next input, it is printing something based on the logic inside we have defined, and then it is again executing. This is always executed. If you want something which should be executed irrespective whether you are having exception or not. So your condition is like whether I'm facing exception or, because you will not know whether you will face exception. It depends on the input at the runtime, right? Here we are directly hard coding the value here. What if we are I am expecting the input from the user interface? If what if user is typing, you will not know. So in that case, you wanted to add some logic which should be always be executed whether there is an exception or not. In that case, you can put that, you can create a finally block and you can put it inside. You can put your logic inside finally. Okay. So we saw try, except, multiple except, else, and finally. This else and finally is optional. Based on your logic, you can either have or you can remove it. Okay. So what is rise? This was not working actually, right? Okay. Okay. So um, okay. First, I'll comment this out. This block. So we have a function and we are getting some input and we are checking if the input is less than 0. So whether it is a negative number. If it is a negative number, we are raising an exception. What is the exception? Value cannot be negative. Okay. And if it's not negative, then you are going to multiply it by 2 and you are going to return this I mean the multiplied number, right? So result is equal to, I'm calling the function, I'm passing -5 here. Okay. So let's see what's happening here. See here, it is throwing some error. Raise exception value cannot be negative. So you usually see, right, whenever you have some exception, maybe if you are having divide by 0, this is how it is going to throw you an error, right? It will throw an error. What if I remove this line? Control slash, and okay, this condition also I should be removing. So when I give some number multiplied by 2 and then give me an output. So here you see result is -10. You are directly getting the result because -5 multiplied by 2 and that result is printed. But if you raise an exception, that means you are though it is not an exception by Python. Python is not having any defined exception for this case, giving a negative number. But you want to raise an exception. You want to stop the program abruptly with an error. Then you can do it using raise exception, and you can give some detail here. So how Python usually does for inbuilt exception, how it does it, it prints something like this, right? Which line the exception is and why, what is the exception name and what is the exception description, all those things it will be giving like this. Okay, if you want to stop abruptly, you can do that. But what I'll do, I'll raise an exception, but I don't want to stop abruptly. In that case, I'm raising an exception, then I'm handling it. Okay. So this is where I'm calling a function, my logic, main logic, right? I have put it inside try. So whenever I call this inside this function only, the exception is raised, right? So I'm putting that in the try and I am telling except exception, except this exception, okay? And then print caught an exception, okay? If there is no exception, it is going to print you the result. If there is an exception, then it is going to tell that caught an exception and I have given as E, exception as E, and that E is printed here. So this will be printed here in this place. Okay, I am renaming exception as E, and then I'm, because it would be easy for me to put E here. Let me save this. So in this case, it will not go inside else part, right? Because anyway, we are passing negative only. It is going to raise exception and then handle the exception. So see, the 5 went inside, and here we are raising exception. But since we are handling it, because if we are inside try block, then you will have some except block also, right? So it is going to that except block, and then it is telling caught an exception. What is that exception? Value cannot be negative. Or you can directly give value cannot be negative, something like that here. So that the user will know that they have entered a negative value and you are expecting some positive value in return. So this is how you can handle all your exception. If you're, we have seen in the beginning of our course that we have written multiple program where you will be having multiple negative scenario. What if the user have given 0? What if the user has given negative? What if the user have given a string instead of integer? We would have thought multiple negative scenario. Everything you can handle. Everything you can have a check. If it is a string, then throw this exception. All those things you can handle. Or you can directly write if x is less than 0, print line that there is some error. I mean, you can directly print value cannot be negative. Please enter a positive. You can do that. But why we have exception is in case if your logic is creating a Python exception, which is defined in Python, like divide by zero. What if the user is giving some input, which is making the divider, the divider to zero, the next number, if you are giving a slash b, what if the user gives b as zero? You cannot divide, right? So here you're not sure the exception might occur or not, but if it occurs, you want to handle it. You don't want to stop. And then in that case, you can use try except else. But I'm just showing that you can also raise your own exception and you can handle the raised exception as well. Rise is not actually used much, but we use try and except to handle the Python errors and exceptions. You want to continue with your logic even though there is some error. Is it clear, guys? The rise, altogether the exception, try, except, and else. Is it clear, or you want to see few other examples? Did you understand this exception 1, exception 2, exception 3 and 4, or you want to revise one more time? How do we get E? Okay. Here I'm just giving a name. You can my name is Annapurni, you can call Annapurni as Anu. So something like that. I'm telling exception as E. So then I can use E remaining in my remaining program. Everywhere I can use E. It will know that E is so nothing but E is equal to exception. You are reassigning something like that. So I'm putting exception as E. And what is there in this exception? This is what there in the exception, right? So that I'm printing here. Okay, few more examples. But before going to the example, you want to revise whatever we saw, or you want to see a new example?
Mm,
Because
mm,
yesterday you would have understood whatever I said, but today you would have forgot what we saw yesterday. Is that the
I
case?
I understood try and accept how like
Mm-hmm.
I want an example for rise. How to rise?
Okay, but did you understand that you can write your own exception?
Yeah.
Because the negative value is not going to throw any error in Python, but you are directly telling. So this is a keyword. You have to give this every time. Rise space exception. This you have to give every time. And then inside that, you can give your print statement. Okay.
Okay.
And then so this line you understood how you are writing this. Rise and exception, these are keyword. You should always have this, and instead you can write any print statement, anything you want to display, any error description you want to tell the user. This can be anything. Okay, it depends on your scenario, it will change. And then later what I'm doing, this exception is raised. This is not raised by Python. How we usually handle the Python exception? We put the logic inside try, which is about to give you exception, and then in except block you are going to print something. You are going to give the exception name. For example, here except you are giving value error, because it will be giving when you don't enter any number. When you without giving any number, if you're giving enter, it is going to tell you value error. Okay, so here it is handling that error. The exception name, it the same exception what the Python is going to throw, the same exception name you have to give, otherwise it will not be handled. So when you tell except this, it means the Python will remove that exception. It will not throw that exception, and because if you throw that exception, the program will be stopped, right? So it is telling, this line is telling Python, see, whenever you see this error, please don't throw it, but instead print this. That's how we are instructing Python to do, right? So that is why this line is printed. and the program is not stopped abruptly. If you have any other lines here, 7, 8, 9, 10, any other logic, those will be executed, still will be executed. It will not be stopped. Similarly, what I'm doing, I'm telling we are raised some exception, right? Imagine this is raised by Python. What you will do? Except exception. If this is confusing, I'll remove this. Okay. So except exception, I'm telling caught an exception. And I'm printing whatever is there inside. Or what I can do, I can copy this and paste it here. I can do this way also. Here I'm just raising an exception. Okay. When if it is less than zero, I'm raising an exception. I'm creating problem. If it cannot be less than zero, it cannot be negative number. And in exception, I'm telling value cannot be negative. Let me run this. See, value cannot be negative. Before we had something else, right? Caught an exception and all caught an exception. It's not printed. So I'm just raising an exception and then I'm catching it later. If I don't catch what happens, you know, right? It will throw some trace back error, something, few lines of error, and it will stop the program. Correct? So this clear? I'll show some other example also for this rise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, clear.
So I have a function which is going to validate age. For example, if you are purchasing a license and if you are claiming something, you shouldn't be less than 18 years old to claim some license. Sorry, insurance, something like that. Some policy is there, insurance policy, and you shouldn't be, or you are going to apply for driving license, and you shouldn't be lesser than 18 years to apply for driving license. If that is a rules in your country, here we are writing a piece of code to validate whether you are eligible for the license or not. Okay. If age is less than 18, I'm going to raise an exception. I'm just giving some name. Any name I can give. Okay, validate here I have to give age. Okay. Value error, and here I'm telling apply for driving license. Okay. If the age is greater than 18, then I'll be returning the age, then the process will be started. The age will be given to the next program. The process will be started for driving license, for example, something like that. Okay. And I'm giving, I want to call this function, right? This function should be called from somewhere. I'm just giving it inside try block, because if you do something and that is going to raise an exception, that you have to give that logic inside try block. Okay. So usually what we do whenever we write something, whenever we have a huge logic processing thing, we put everything inside try, and later we will use except. Whatever the negative scenario you imagine, that you put in except. but the whole logic we will put inside the try block. Okay, so age is equal to, I'm just calling the function, I'm giving 50. So here it's pass, right? What happened? Why this is throwing error? Okay, it is asking to me to give exception. I'm telling handle this exception. And I just want to print whatever is there inside this. So that is why I'm giving this name. Okay, value error. What if there is no exception? What if this line is false and this line is not executed? It is going to return age. Okay. So when you call this, it is going to return age. Only when you see exception, it's going to call this except block. Otherwise, it will properly complete your program and it will come outside. Okay. So here we are not going to see any error. Okay, we are not printing anything. Okay, here. So it is telling the age of a person who is applying for DL is 50. So instead of 50, I'm going to give 8. So now what happened during 8? It goes and this will become true. It is going to raise an exception. So it is raising an exception value error. Okay, we are not printing anything. Okay, we have this invalid DL. The error is class value. So okay, it is actually printing it directly. That is why I'm giving here as some name I'm giving as V. Then I can put V here. In that case, it will print the description, whatever we have given inside the value error. So I'm giving as V, value error as V, which means it is going to print this. This V will be having this value, okay? And then the error is V, I'm printing it. So here the error is invalid age to apply for DL. If I don't have this, we are not handling the exception. What will happen? I'm putting the logic outside and I'm not going to handle, but I'm just going to raise an error. So this is how usually the exception will throw like this, right? It will throw multiple line and it will tell which line the issue occurred and what is the exception name and what is the exception description, right? All those things are given. So if I give 18 here, Then in that case, I run again. It is not going to throw any error. It is telling the age of the person is 18. So it is printing line number 6. Let me show one more example. So here I have numbers which will be having a list, and I'm creating an empty list. Then I'm telling for number in numbers, this is a logic, and I'm handling two different exceptions. Okay. So the logic is divide 10 by the number. So 10 divided by 1, 10 divided by 2, 10 divided by 3, it will go on. Okay. And then we are appending the result. So for the first number, when 10 is divided by 1, the value will be added to result. Okay. Then later, the next result also will be added. It will be added into this list. Okay. And later we are printing the new list. So if there is a division by error, I mean zero division error, because we are having 0 here. So in this case, when it handles the fourth element, which is in index 3, it will be throwing this error, right? So we are handling it. Instead of throwing the error and stopping the program, which will not execute 5 later and which will not also print this, right? So instead of that, we are handling it. And here we are giving a new exception. We'll see what happens here. This is to catch the more general exceptions. If any other exception occurs, we can catch that. If here I know zero division error is there. If I don't know some error, if I'm not sure what all the error might occur, I am not able to think now what all the error might occur in the future. I can directly give exception E, and as E, so whatever exception occurs, it will be handled by E. I mean, it will be handled here. Whatever exception occurs, it will be handled and it will be printing here. So this is an error append. Okay. So here you see the first result is 10, 5, third, and the fourth one you cannot divide. So division by 0, and then it is giving 2. So let me comment this out. Imagine that I don't know what exception might occur, zero division error. I'm not aware. I am not thinking that ahead. An error occurred because that's how we have printed. An error occurred. And what is this exception? Division by 0. This is how the Python will usually print, right? Division by 0. So whatever the Python is printing, it is captured. The exception is captured as E, and that E is printed here. Still the process happens, even though you have division by 0. Let me do this without any exception handling. Here I'm just dividing and then appending, okay, our simple function. At some point, you are going to see division by 0, zero division error. It is going to stop. So it is telling when it's running this line, trace back all those things. It tells which line, which file, and then when you're running this line, you see this error. That's what it is telling. So That is why it's stopping the execution, right? Because of that one value. So that is why I'm handling it. So if I know the error name in advance, I can put it here. If I'm not sure what all the error might occur, then I can give exception in general, and whatever error occurred, I will be printing it to the user. Because division by zero is understandable, the error description is understandable, right? The description I'm printing. An error occurred, or I can directly give E. I don't want to show that error occurred and all. So it is telling division by zero. Is it clear now? We saw here we are raising an exception and it is going to abruptly stop the program, and later we handled it. We saw this example, and here we are saying to handle all the exceptions in general. Here I can give V, V. Oh, it's showing me error. Okay. Okay. So I'm trying to divide 10 by B. So here you see division by zero for the last element unsupported operand, that is you are using slash for integer and string. You cannot divide integer and string because here it is integer but here it is string. So it is also handled. Is it clear, guys? Tilly? Okay. If you still want to see some more example, tomorrow we will continue on exception. You want me to go for uh, a new topic? A regular expression is a new topic, and I have a one big project for OOPS to understand OOPS. All everything we will be seeing. We will be seeing polymorphism, abstraction, inheritance, exception handling, regular expression. Everything we will be putting in one project. After regular expression, we will be seeing the project tomorrow. So tomorrow you want to start with exception and then go to regular expression, or we can directly go to regular expression. If you want, tomorrow we can revise all this, whatever we have seen, brush up, and then we can go. Or otherwise, if you want to see few more examples, I can think of few more examples, create, run, and tomorrow I can show.
So we have learnt about main method, right?
Main method, yeah, correct.
Main function. Also, it is not compulsory to write in all the program, right?
No, no, it is not at all compulsory. You need not put main name is equal to main and all. But
Oh,
there is some variable in the background and
yeah,
called
just we
name, and
need
it
to.
will be having, yeah, to understand that mainly we will use in when we try to import a new module, if you wanted to know, because if you have two function name, one is from the existing same function name which is
So
also running from the.
when we are importing, we should use this.
It's not necessary that we should use this. If at all you are getting confused from where it is getting loaded while you're debugging your code, you are expecting something, but your code is not giving you that result. To debug, I will use a name and see from where it is called. Something like that. But you should know that the variable is there, but you need not use it anywhere in your function.
Oh, okay.
It is not necessary. So this exception as E, this is a part of a statement. When you want to catch some description of that particular exception, then you have to give exception as E. Instead of E, you can give exception as V, exception as A, anything you can give. But and this E will catch the description of the exception, and later you can print the description. The error message will be catched by this. So this is the general format if you want to catch the error message and print it. So yeah, guys, we can wind up, but just let me know if you want more examples on exceptions tomorrow. Okay. Okay, then tomorrow we will start few more examples on exception. Then we will proceed to regular expression. Okay, see you guys. Bye.
And one more thing, Anu,
Mm-hmm.
that videos for web scraping you have sent, right? And you asked for
One minute.
selection.